You ever have a moment where you realize someone didn't just take your stuff, they took a piece of your soul with it? That's what happened the morning I watched them steal my dock. Only, it wasn't just any dock, you know. It was the last piece of my wife Ellen left in this world, a beat-up old platform under a willow where we'd spent sunsets, muggy summers, icy winters, sipping cider, laughing about nothing, where her ashes now rest under that tree. So when I saw Karen, clipboard in hand, grinning by a backhoe like she was queen of the river, pointing at my dock like it was hers to claim, I swear something in me snapped so deep you could hear it echo off the water. But I didn't shout, didn't run out, cussing, just walked inside, shut the door, and whispered a promise. I'm not letting you have this. You want a river fight? You're about to learn what happens when you pick a fight with a retired civil engineer who's got nothing left to lose. I bought this stretch of riverbank 30 years ago, back when it was nothing but scrub trees. An old fishing shack held together by rust and luck, and a river so wild you'd think it would swallow anything built too close. Me and Ellen spent years out here planting wildflowers, fixing up the dock, eventually building a house small enough to be cozy, but open enough to let the river in. You know what I mean? That dock was our everything. Ellen used to sketch out there. I taught our godson to fish, and on our last anniversary before cancer took her, we had a picnic out there, just us and the water. After she passed, I carved her name into a bench by the dock. Kept it simple, private, something that belonged to us and nobody else. At least it used to. Things changed fast when a pack of new homes sprouted up downstream calling themselves Willow Creek. Suddenly we had block parties, grilling contests, and God help us, an HOA run by. You guessed it, Karen Wilmington. She moved in across the bend, fresh from a lifetime of managing other people's business, and crowned herself president because nobody else wanted the job. Her one obsession became controlling every blade of grass in sight except mine. See, my land was grandfathered and totally outside their little fiefdom, no dues, no meetings, no rules. Drove her nuts. She left landscaping rules taped to my mailbox. For your awareness, neighbor, passive-aggressive like only a Karen can do. I ignored her. Figured that was enough until she went too far. It started with a bland envelope under my door. HOA had voted to make my riverbank a shared amenity, my dock now community property. I laughed, tossed it, until another letter showed up, this one, with a fake map, suddenly putting my dock inside their border. 3 days later, I wake up to the sound of machinery, sun's barely up. I step outside in my pajamas, and there's Karen directing a demolition crew with saws, hammers, and that same bogus map. I told him to stop, showed him my deed. Karen claimed it had been rezoned for shared access. Sheriff said it was a civil matter. Didn't matter what I said. The dock came apart, splinters flying, bench with Ellen's name thrown on a trash heap. Karen actually smiled, told me, maybe now you'll come to the next meeting. Yeah, that happened. That night I didn't sleep. I sat staring out at the wrecked shore bench, gone river empty. Then I remembered what Ellen always said about bullies. You don't beat a flood by building walls, you change the flow. Suddenly, I knew what to do. Next day, I drove to the county records office, digging through property lines, hydrological maps, erosion surveys, found two things. My boundary actually stretched further upstream than anyone realized, and all of Willow Creek sat on a floodplain that only stayed dry thanks to how the river was guided by my property. If someone were to maintain the land guide, the water just a bit differently, well, gravity does the rest. So at Karen's next HOA wine tasting, her initials on tiny flags no less, I strolled by and smiled. She had no clue I'd already filed the permits for a water retention and erosion control project. County didn't bat an eye, just a landowner protecting his investment. Back home, I measured, mapped, staked a new channel. Nothing crazy, just enough to give the river a better idea, make a path through my land, bypass the HOA's precious dock loop back into the mainstream. Let nature do the heavy lifting. But I needed help, so I called Todd Jackson, old Army buddy, retired like me, but now running an environmental consulting firm. He owed me a favor. Told him the HOA stole my dock and I wanted to make the river forget they existed. He laughed and said, I'll bring my boots and bourbon. 2 days later, he showed up with a trailer full of tech drone sensors, all the toys. We spent the first night swapping war stories, then got to work. Flew the drones, mapped every inch, found an old dried-up oxbow perfect route for a new channel. We didn't dig trenches overnight. That would have been too obvious. Instead, we shaped the land, added erosion buffers, cut a few dead trees, let rain and time do their thing. With every passing week, the river started leaning into the new path. Birds came back. Fish, too. We even put up a little gate hidden in the reeds so if we needed to speed things up, we could. Meanwhile, Karen was busy with her regatta, the HOA's summer party boats with pastel streamers, her in a plastic tiara, barking orders about unity and shared values. The irony was delicious. Then came Lester, Karen's sidekick, a guy so bland he could pass for wallpaper. Shows up one morning, clipboard in hand, nosing around my side, asking what I was building. I handed him the permits, told him it was wetlands restoration. He tried to act tough but left muttering about reporting me. Too late, nature was already handling things. Regatta day came with perfect dramatic clouds. The HOA dock was nothing but a muddy pit. Water levels dropped, boats stuck in muck. Karen waving guests ashore. One guy's foot sinks into the sludge, his wife screams, everyone starts blaming each other. Meanwhile, Todd and I sat across the channel with coffee and watched as the parade of pastel boats drifted down my new stream, clear flowing, lined with lilies. Some asked if this was part of the route. I just shrugged and told them, maybe, but enjoy the view. Karen's tiara ended up in the mud. Todd raised his mug. That was the most satisfying toast of my life. Karen, though she marched up to my yard the next evening screaming about what have you done to the river, I showed her my permits, told her to sue me if she wanted. She did got her lawyer to send some hilarious threat letters. I replied with every document, every survey, and even a report from Todd's firm. 2 days later, the county sent a letter commending the restoration and noting my project actually helped prevent flooding downstream. Word got out, a local journalist caught wind, ran a story on the HOA president accused of destroying Memorial Dock. It blew up. Board members quit. County launched an audit, found forged documents, misuse of funds, even payments to Karen's nephew's company for the demolition. Karen went dark. HOA events were canceled. Folks stopped paying dues, and someone started a group chat called HOA Freedom Committee talk of dissolving the association entirely. Then the real storm hit, rains like you wouldn't believe. My side held strong, reinforced channel, handled the flow easy. HOA side. Their dock area collapsed, turned to sludge. 3 homes flooded, Karen's included. I didn't gloat, but I watched as her patio furniture floated down the street and the fire department tried to sandbag her front steps. The county's report came out, blamed the flooding on their bad landscaping, and bank modifications said my restoration actually saved the valley from worse damage. The kicker. My lawsuit trespassed, destruction of property. Emotional damages, the whole 9 yards, settled quick once the evidence came out. Karen signed a public apology check in hand, moved out soon after. Some say Florida, some say across the state. Didn't matter to me, the river only remembers its own flow. I rebuilt Ellen's bench first, sealed it 3 times, planted wild blue phlox around it, her favorite. County folks came by, said it was the best river restoration they'd seen in a decade, asked to use it as a teaching site. Kids come by now with notepads and muddy boots, learning about water and fish, asking questions Ellen would have loved. I donated most of the settlement money to a river trust she supported. The rest funded a local youth ecology program. The HOA finally dissolved, neighbors painted fences, how they liked planted, whatever, let their dogs run free. One even thanked me, admitted he'd only sided with Karen out of fear. The final twist? The county finished its audit, rescinded Karen's forged amendments, and restored a strip of riverfront land they'd tried to claim as public back to me retroactively and forever. One evening, as the sky turned gold and the water shimmered, I sat on the new bench, Ellen's name gleaming in the fading sun, and felt something I hadn't felt in years. Whole again, not just in spite of what they tried to take, but because the river found its way home, and so did I. Now, I'd love to hear what you think. Did justice win out, or was it just a lucky break? Would you have fought back or let it go? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's see where the current takes us.